If you're planning a trip to Bali, then this video is going to be your ultimate prep guide. We're not just sharing vague tips. We're doing a deep dive into everything you actually need to know before you go. From when to visit, how to get around, and where to stay, to real talk about Bali belly, bugs, budgeting, and visas. This is the stuff we wish someone would have told us before our trip to Bali. So whether you're headed there for your honeymoon, a solo adventure, or just a digital nomad reset, let's make sure that you're ready to do it right. When is the best time to go to Bali? Bali has two seasons, dry and rainy, and it's hot and humid all year round. Dry season generally runs from April through October, and it's the most popular time to visit, with plenty of sunshine and lower humidity. We visited during July and August, and the weather was absolutely perfect, but it was also peak tourist season, so there were a lot of crowds and higher prices. Rainy season runs from November through March, and it may not rain all day, but you can expect sudden downpours, more humidity, which means more mosquitoes, especially in inland areas like Ubud. We've also been in March and April and still had a great time. The island was lush and the crowds were way more manageable. If you want the best weather, go between May and October. Either way, be sure to pack a rain jacket because you're bound to run into some rain at some point. Bali is an island in Indonesia, and while it is very famous on its own, it's actually only one of over 17,000 islands located in the country. You'll be flying into Denpasar Airport, but there is zero reason to stay in that area unless you have a really early flight the next day. What makes Bali so special is just how diverse the island is. It's not just one compact destination, everything is spread out all over the island, and each area is going to give you a different vibe. Canggu is chaotic, fun, full of beach clubs and digital nomads. Ubud is more spiritual, more laid back, surrounded by jungle, rice terraces, and temples. Uluwatu has epic cliffs, beaches. Seminyak is more polished and stylish. Sitaman, Munduk, and Ahmed are much more quiet and remote places to relax. Then there's Kuta. You might read some outdated blog posts that say that Kuta is the best place to stay in Bali, but it 100% is not, and we speak from experience because we've been there a few times, and it is not a true representation of what Bali is. It is overrun with tourists in like the worst way, and there's just not as much culture as there are in other areas of Bali. The only reason you would ever need to stay in Kuta is if you have an early morning flight and you want to make sure you get to the airport on time, which we've done before. Deciding where to stay really comes down to two key factors: what you want to do and how much time you have. If you have a week or less, we recommend staying somewhere more central like Ubud and then doing day trips, or you could split your time between two spots like Uluwatu if you want to see the beaches, and then Ubud so you're more central. If you have 2 weeks, you will definitely have a lot more time to explore the island. We've spent over 4 months in Bali over the last few years, and in that time we've stayed in more than 20 different accommodations. From luxury resorts to budget guest houses to villas with outdoor bathtubs and a private pool. When we say we've seen it all, we truly have. And we've got some solid recommendations to help you plan your trip to Bali no matter what your budget looks like. All from personal experience. Which leads us to today's video sponsor, and something that we actually use ourselves, Plannin. Plannin is a completely free platform where creators like us share real travel experiences and recommendations from all over the world. And it's all in one place. We've been living out of hotels for the last 3 years now, and we know the pain of booking blindly. But with Plannin, you can find real, vetted hotel stays and experiences from people who you actually trust, not just anonymous reviews. And it's not just hotels. We're sharing experiences we've done, places to eat, and a full Bali travel guide that you can use completely for free. The best part is when you sign up for a free account, you'll even get access to exclusive deals up to 40% off. And it's not just us. Plannin is a full community of travelers sharing honest and firsthand recommendations. You can even search by destination, plug in your travel dates, and find options from people who've actually been there and stayed in those accommodations. Honestly, we wish we would have known about Plannin when we first set out to travel 3 years ago, but we're so happy we know about it now because it is such a great resource and we're so excited to share it with you. So scan the QR code here on the screen and create your free Plannin account and make traveling so much easier. Getting around Bali is one of the most confusing parts for first-time travelers, and we're here to tell you, do not plan on driving, do not rent a car. The traffic is intense, the roads are narrow, there's potholes, it's chaotic, scooter accidents are very common. We do not recommend riding a scooter in Bali unless you have experience and an international driver's license. The easiest option is to use apps like Grab or Gojek. They're basically like Uber in Bali. They're super affordable and they're great for shorter trips. For longer days or airport pickups, we often hire a private driver for about 35 to 60 USD per day, depending on the route. And it's honestly worth every penny to have someone who truly knows the roads. Bali is actually the only place we've traveled to that it's very common to hire a private driver. If you are experienced and plan to ride a motorbike while you're in Bali, just be sure to wear a helmet and only rent from a reputable shop. And remember, when Google Maps says 30 minutes, it's really on Bali time, which is probably going to be more like 60 minutes with the traffic. Bonus tip, if you are going from one area of Bali to another, like let's say you're in Uluwatu and you need to get to Ubud, you can hire a driver for the whole day and basically make an adventure out of your hotel transportation. They can take you to waterfalls, temples, and even some local food stops along the way. It's a super efficient and fun way to explore more of the island. One of the best things about Bali is that it can truly fit almost any budget. Whether you're a backpacker, a mid-range traveler like us, or if you're looking for something a little more luxurious. We've stayed in guest houses for around $20 a night, mid-range boutique hotels from about $40 to $80, and we've even stayed in a private villa for over $120 a night. It's all here. It really just depends on what kind of experience you want to have. For food, a local meal at a warung might cost you around $2 to $4 US, while a Western style brunch in Canggu could easily run you $10 to $15 US. Spa services like a full body massage, which we highly recommend you get while you're in Bali, are going to be around $7. But transportation and entrance fees and activities do add up, so don't assume Bali is cheap by any means, but it is affordable if you make smart choices. As a general guide, a budget backpacker can expect to spend about $30 to $40 a day, where a mid-range traveler like us would be about $50 to $60, and if you're looking for a more luxurious experience, you're going to be running $100 plus. Bali is very much a cash-based society, so you're going to want to have some Indonesian rupiah on hand. In larger areas like Ubud and Canggu, ATMs are pretty easy to find, but it's when you get to smaller places like Nusa Penida or Sidaman where ATMs can be few and far between and even out of cash sometimes. We recommend pulling out enough to last several days based on your budget. We personally use the Charles Schwab debit card, which refunds all ATM fees, and you guys, we talk about this in all of our videos. It is such a game changer. We'll leave a link in the description box below. We are not an affiliate of Charles Schwab. We just truly love it as a travel tool. One last thing is that most restaurants or shops that will accept credit cards will also charge you a 3% fee, so be mindful of that. Let's talk about staying healthy in Bali. Because while the island is incredible, you'll want to take a few precautions to avoid getting sick. The most common issue that you may or may not have heard of is Bali belly, which is basically just food poisoning. It can come from unfiltered water, raw fruits and veggies, or food that's just been sitting out in the heat. We recommend to always drink bottled water or filtered water, and even use the bottled water when you're brushing your teeth. We sometimes take probiotics before and during the trip to help with our tummies. And it also doesn't hurt to bring some electrolyte tablets or even the little powders to mix with your drink to stay hydrated. If you do get sick, Bali has great pharmacies, and you can get a lot of medications over the counter without a prescription. And if it's a little more serious, we definitely recommend to visit a hospital, or you can even have a doctor come and do a private visit to your accommodation. It's actually surprisingly affordable. That said, we always travel with safety ring. I don't know why I said ring. Maybe it's because Lemon told me that when we get to 10,000 subscribers, he'd put a ring on it. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button.
Ding!
Ding for a ring!
Ding for a ring.
Ding for a ring. That said, we always travel with Safety Wing insurance for this exact reason. It's affordable, made for travelers, and it gives us peace of mind knowing we're covered if something unexpected comes up. Bali is beautiful and tropical, but that also means bugs. You're going to see ants, geckos, mosquitoes, and probably a few other creatures that you didn't expect. We don't personally travel with DEET, but we have seen people bring it. We usually just buy the local bug spray and it works great. We do recommend keeping like a long sleeve cover up or button down shirt in your day pack in case you find yourself somewhere where there are a lot of mosquitoes. And definitely keep your food sealed and put away, because if you leave it out, the ants will find it. Case in point, we once had a pack of Oreos where I just kind of twisted the pack shut and put it in a drawer, not thinking anything of it. Later that night, Lemon and I were watching a movie and I thought, I'd like to have a cookie in bed. So It was dark in the room. I went to the drawer, I grabbed the Oreos out, sat in the bed, took a bite, and I thought, I don't know, this is weird. The cookie was like crumbling everywhere, like there's something wrong here. And Lemon turned on the light, and lo and behold, I had taken a bite into an Oreo that ants were feeding on, and the ants went all over me, and oh gosh, gross. So yeah, seal your snacks. You should also be aware of dengue fever, which is a mosquito-borne illness that exists in Bali. It's not super common, but it's definitely something to take seriously. One thing that makes Bali so unique is its culture and religion. While most of Indonesia is Muslim, Bali is actually Hindu. But it's a version of Hinduism that blends Indian traditions with Balinese customs and a strong focus on honoring their ancestors. We always recommend learning a few key phrases no matter what country you're visiting. In Bali, the official language is Bahasa Indonesia. To say thank you, you'll say terima kasih, and that is often followed by
Sama-sama.
which means you're welcome. They say it like that too, sama-sama. You'll often also hear the phrase selamat pagi, which means good morning. You'll see culture everywhere in Bali, from temples and statues to daily offerings called canang sari, made with flowers, incense, and symbolic items. You'll often spot them outside homes, shops, and even on the sidewalk and in the streets. They're a form of gratitude and spiritual balance, and it's considered disrespectful to step on them or kick them, so be mindful of where you walk. You'll also likely see temple ceremonies and full-on processions spilling into the streets, with music, traditional dress, and entire communities involved. Bali celebrates over 200 holidays a year, so there's a high chance that you will witness something at least once during your trip. Just know that holidays can mean road closures, traffic jams, and businesses randomly shutting down. Our advice? Embrace it. It's part of what makes Bali feel so alive. Also, be sure to dress respectfully when visiting temples by covering your shoulders and your knees. Take your shoes off when entering homes, and even some businesses will require you to take your shoes off before entering. Don't point with your feet and avoid touching anyone on the head, especially children. I don't know who's touching people on the head or pointing with their toes, but apparently this is a thing in Bali. And here's a fun fact we love. Balinese names are based on birth order, so if you meet multiple Wayans or Ketuts, that's totally normal. We learned this after asking our driver Ketut why we had met so many Balinese men with the same name. Turns out the names follow a pattern depending on what order you're born in, and the cycle repeats after the fourth child. Little things like this go a long way in helping you connect more deeply with the people and the place that you're visiting. Most travelers heading to Bali will need a visa on arrival, which is exactly what it sounds like. You can get a visa once you arrive at the airport in Bali. It's available to citizens of over 80 countries, including the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and most of Europe. It costs about 500,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is about 35 USD, and it lets you stay in Bali for up to 30 days. You can extend it once for another 30 days, but there's a catch. Doing it yourself requires multiple visits to the immigration office, which is cutting into your time and cutting into your budget. That's why we used VABC Visa Services, and it was honestly worth every penny. We gave them our passports, we just made one quick stop at immigration, and they handled the rest, even delivering our passports back to us with our extended visas inside. We paid around 200 USD to expedite it, but this can be done much cheaper if you have a little bit more time. If you're staying for more than 60 days, you're going to need a different type of visa for Bali. Visa rules can change, so we always recommend checking the latest info for your nationality on the official Indonesian immigration website. We'll include a QR code on the screen for both the VABC Visa service and the official Indonesian website, where you can check all the information that you need. Let's talk about a couple practical things that will make your trip to Bali way easier. First up is connectivity. Having data in Bali and anywhere in the world is very important. Not just for social media, but for ordering Grab rides, using Google Maps, or even messaging your hotel. We recommend an eSIM, especially if you have a newer phone, because they don't even have slots for physical SIMs anymore. We'll leave a QR code on the screen right here for the eSIM that we use and we trust, and if you're curious, there is a 15% discount for you. Next is booking tours and experiences. Our favorite platform to book tours and experiences is Get Your Guide, because it is super easy to use. You can pay in your home currency and you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance. We've used Get Your Guide in Bali and other places around the world and found it to be very reliable. You can also sometimes book tours directly with your guest house or your villa. And finally, there are tons of Facebook groups focused around travel in Bali. You'll find local guides, drivers, and other travelers posting about experiences and deals. We love using the Facebook groups to get inspiration for experiences or tours, but we don't necessarily recommend booking anything through them, and especially you don't want to pay for anything upfront before your trip begins, just to protect yourself from scams. Speaking of scams, while Bali is generally safe for tourists, there are a few scams to watch out for. Keep a close eye on your cell phone when you're walking near the street. We haven't seen this firsthand, fortunately, but we have heard of motorbike drivers coming by and swapping phones out of tourists' hands. And if you're planning a longer stay and you want to book a villa, be extra cautious. There are lots of scammers online who will send photos, and it may not even be the actual place that you're renting, and they will ask for payment up front, and we've seen too many people pay for them and then just be ghosted by these scammers. There are even Facebook groups dedicated to exposing these scammers in Bali, so just be aware. If you do need a long-term rental, it's much better to book through a platform that you know and you trust. Packing for Bali is all about keeping it light, breathable, and practical. It is hot and humid all year round, so just leave the jeans at home, trust us. We recommend lightweight cotton or linen clothing, basically just things that are naturally comfortable for you to wear. You don't really need to pack much because laundry service is so affordable in Bali. Oftentimes, your accommodation can arrange this for you, or just by doing a quick Google search or even walking around the block, you'll find somewhere that will wash and dry and fold your clothes and return them to you, sometimes even the next day, smelling amazing. We do recommend that you bring reef-safe sunscreen on your trip to Bali. It can be hard to find, and if you do find it, it's very expensive. We also recommend bringing a rain jacket because it is bound to rain at some point during your trip, and bringing a reusable water bottle because you can often fill these up in your guest house or even at some of the cafes. If you forget anything, don't stress. There are markets all over Bali selling affordable clothing, accessories, and toiletries. Just know that negotiating is expected at local markets, so feel free to haggle a little bit. There are also a few malls around Bali with stores like H&M, but malls aren't super common and they're kind of spread out all over the island, so don't count on them being nearby. And ladies, if you use tampons, please bring enough for your trip. These can also be really hard to find in Bali. If you're debating whether or not to bring a backpack or a suitcase, honestly, either can be fine. We've done it with both and it was fine either way. Just make sure that if you do bring a rolly bag that you limit it to one per person because it is very difficult to walk around the uneven sidewalks and streets with 2 rolly bags. Also, don't forget a universal power adapter. Bali uses Type C and F outlets, like most of Europe, and the voltage is 230 volts. If you're coming from the US, the UK, or other regions, you'll need an adapter to charge your devices. To make it even easier, we have put together a Bali packing guide on our Amazon storefront. We will leave a QR code here so that you can check that out and you won't miss anything that is necessary for your trip. And that wraps up everything that we think you should know before your trip to Bali. We hope this video helped you feel more prepared and even more excited for your trip ahead. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. We answer every single question and we truly love helping people plan trips. You'll find the link in the description for our Plannin guide, our Amazon storefront, and any other resources, and coupon codes will be in the description as well. And if this was helpful, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. It is totally free to you. We know you are going to have the best time in Bali.
And maybe we'll see you there.
Cheers! Oh, I that up. Blech. Travel. What the? Safety ring? Our. Huh? Can you? Can you fix the screen, mate? Huh? Alright. Redo! Nah. And then I don't know. Question mark? I cannot. Sama-sama. Do they bow in Bali? I don't think so.
Why did you do
Don't
that?
you remember when we left Thailand, we went to Bali and we were like bowing to everyone and they were like, what are you doing?